Hi everybody, I'm Denise.
And I'm Georgie.
And we're the Happy Vegan Couple. We've got another great cooking video for you today. What are you going to make, honey?
I'm going to make a vegetable stir fry served with tofu and tempeh, or you can do one of the other over farro. It's great.
Farro is a whole grain. Here we go. And so I want to tell you something about using whole grains. I know most of you probably think of, oh, I'll make a veggie stir fry and I'll have rice, right? It's like the classic plant-based dish. Well, there's actually two reasons why you might want to consider some other grains. One is we know that a lot of rice has arsenic and we never know how much, and yeah, you can cook it in certain ways to help reduce it, but why not try other grains? Because there's so many of them. And here's what I want to show you. They're actually even, you know, one of the reasons we eat whole grains is we want the fiber, right? We want fiber all day long as plant-based eaters. And again, there's always usually good protein in our grains too, but depending on the grain you choose, it really has a difference in the protein and fiber. So what we're gonna make today is farro. A quarter cup of farro has 5 grams of fiber and 6 grams of protein. 5 grams of fiber, 6 grams of protein. Now compare that to, we used to eat this rice a lot. We don't eat it very much anymore because again of the arsenic issue and just wanting to get more fiber and protein from other grains, and also the diversity of fiber. We've been learning about our microbiome and that the diversity of fiber is really important as well, not just fiber. So here's a rice. It's got like 3 kinds of rice in it. It's organic from Trader Joe's. And as opposed to the 5 grams of fiber and 6 grams of protein in the farro, this rice just has 2 grams of fiber and only 3 grams of protein. So this one is really healthier in terms of getting more fiber and more protein. Now, how does that compare to another favorite grain? Quinoa. Well, quinoa is better than the rice. The quinoa, and these are all for quarter cup servings, okay, dry quarter cup. The quinoa has more than the rice. It has 4 grams of fiber and 5 grams of protein, so still better than the rice. But you know what the winner is, and we do make this at times, but we didn't make it today, is hulled barley. Not pearl barley, but hulled barley. And this one is like the winner. A quarter cup of this gives you 8 grams of fiber, right? 8 grams plus 6 grams of protein. So if I was to compare that to the farro, the protein is equal between both of these, but the barley has a little bit more fiber, 3 grams more fiber. So this is why you should eat different grains. And so Georgie also made this dish with both tofu and tempeh. Now, you may not want to make both of them together. We typically don't. We usually use one or the other. But we just wanted to show you, you know, it's the same process really for cooking either. And you know, tempeh is a great food. It's fermented soy. It has the fiber. Tofu, actually the fiber is taken out. So, you know, as long as you're eating a lot of other stuff with fiber, it's not so bad that the fiber is removed from the tofu. But they're both very healthy, but you always want to get organic soy because you don't want to end up having glyphosate in your GMO soy, okay? So, anyways, this is going to be a good dish for you. It's a plant-based classic, right? We probably should have made this a long time ago. And I was like, we need to have a stir fry on our channel. So we hope you'll enjoy the video. And we'll see you at the other end. All right.
Okay, let's get to cooking. Okay, everyone, let's get started on my veggie stir fry. First thing I'm going to do is cut up my cruciferous vegetables, which is the broccoli, the cauliflower, and the green cabbage. So we'll get started on the broccoli. You can see I have a pretty good sized head here. I'm probably going to use about half of this. I only need about 1.5 cups of this. So we'll set this over here. As you can see, I just cut it off. Cut this in half. You just want to make little florets, about like that, bite size.
And the reason why we're gonna cut these first is because we're actually gonna cut up these vegetables and then let it sit on our counter before cooking for about 40 minutes. The reason we do that is because we want to break the cell wall of these veggies that then will create a chemical reaction, and an antioxidant called sulforaphane will bloom from cutting these vegetables and letting it sit. If all we did was cut them up and immediately start cooking it, the enzyme that helps create that chemical reaction will get destroyed in the heating, and then we won't get that benefit. But we've learned from our doctors and researchers that if we actually just cut the veggies and let them sit for about 40 minutes before cooking, and this is for the cruciferous, that then that chemical reaction will just bloom on its own with the enzyme because we haven't cooked it. So that's just a tip for everybody. That's what we do in our house. When we eat cruciferous vegetables, we cut them up, we let them sit on the counter, let the sulforaphane bloom, and then we cook them.
So you want to come a little closer. As you can see, I just cut this cauliflower in half. Now I'm going to cut the heart of it out at an angle here. You can still use this. There's no reason to throw it away. I'm just going to chop it like I would the cauliflower. Okay, we're going to make our cauliflower florets the same size as our broccoli. And you can almost break these apart yourself instead of chopping it. Gives yourself a little workout. We only need, like, what did I say, 2 cups of this, 1.5 cups?
So there actually are a couple of other tricks to have that sulforaphane bloom. And that's if you actually don't have time to let your veggies sit on your counter. We've learned about 2 other hacks that you can do. So one is, once you cook up your veggies, if you eat it with a little bit of raw cruciferous vegetable, then that will do the same thing for you. Your body, once it's digested this food, will kind of combine that enzyme from the raw cruciferous, which the cooked ones, and supposedly will still get the sulforaphane. And then finally, the other last tip, Georgie, did you wanted to show?
Yeah, I just wanted to,
cabbage.
You can come in close while I'm doing the cabbage. Just a thin slice. You don't want big chunks, just nice and thin as you can get it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then I'm going to turn it that way and just do the rest.
So the last little tip, if you don't have time to let these veggies sit on your counter, you can actually cook it all up, and then you could actually, if you like to eat mustard powder or a little mustard with that dish, mustard actually has that enzyme in it. And so that will also create that sulforaphane benefit for you if you add some mustard to your cooked veggies. So we've learned a lot about these hacks. Dr. Michael Greger over at nutritionfacts.org has a video about this. He talks about it often in terms of cooking broccoli, so you might find that if you want to learn more.
So there's my cruciferous vegetables. You can see they're just bite size. You don't want much, you don't big. And this is chopped in half. It's gonna cook down. So we're gonna let that sit for 45 minutes. We're gonna come back and get the rest of this started.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, I put my cruciferous vegetables in the fridge. They're cut up. We're gonna wait a while. Next thing I'm gonna do is cook this grain. We're gonna use farro today. It's a whole grain. I'm gonna use 1 cup.
Let's see what that looks like while it's dry.
Almost looks like wheat berries.
Okay, a nice intact grain for the most nutrition and fiber.
1 cup in the Instapot. I'm going to put 5 cups of water. And a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Mix that a little bit. Put our lid on, make sure your vent is on and your inside vent, and make sure the ring is on. That's very important. Gonna push pressure cook I know a lot of people, their things say manual, or you can do it that way. Ours says pressure cook. We're gonna go for 10 minutes on a high pressure. Voila.
Right.
After that cooks, it's gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes to get up to pressure. Then it'll cook for 10 minutes. Then we'll release it after 5 minutes and we should be done.
Okay, so everybody's buttons are different on their pressure
Right.
cookers. So whatever button you need to press, just set it for 10 minutes, high pressure, and normal heating.
Yeah, exactly. The next thing is going to be, we're going to go ahead and make the sauce. We're going to start with tamari. I put it in this little squeeze bottle because the bottle that it came in just poured out too fast. So we need 1/3 of a cup. And you can go less or more. I recommend, if you want, just go a little bit less.
We use a low sodium tamari. You can also use soy sauce if you have that. But we would suggest getting the low sodium varieties.
Then we got
And
vegetable
organic.
broth. 2/3 of a cup.
It's also a low sodium veggie broth.
I use only a dash of sesame oil. It says 1/4 of a teaspoon, but I would recommend even cutting it in half because it's very strong. Unless you don't mind the sesame, you can see I'm just going to put a couple dashes in here. Not even, you know, it's very strong. Rice vinegar, we're going to go 1 teaspoon. Then we got a 2-inch piece of ginger here. We're gonna grate that on the grater. This way, I don't peel it, it's organic. I just wash it really well. You know, cut the little brown knobs off if you need to. There's one right there. Then we're just gonna go on the one side. Go with the grain of the ginger, that makes it so it's not so stringy. If you go the other way, you're going to get a lot of string. As you can see, I'm going up the grain here. This is the smaller side of a cheese grater. There we go. The one thing with ginger is you don't want a clump of string because it is stringy.
It always has a wonderful aroma once you start grating
Yeah,
it.
once it starts cooking, it got even more of an aroma. Give your arm a workout here. Now, if you do have some strings, that will basically be on the outside. From my experience of grinding the ginger. As you can see, there's some stringy stuff here. See how
So what
that
do you
string
mean by
is?
the stringy stuff?
See the string? In here, it's nice and no strings. This has got some strings in it. So what I would do with that is I would just chop it up.
So it's more like minced then.
Right, like the silk on a corn cob. You know, it's not pleasant to chew on that. Okay, there's our garlic.
Ginger.
Ginger, I'm sorry. I was thinking ahead there that my garlic was next. It calls for a couple pieces, or a couple cloves. I've got like 3 here, one's kind of small. Just break that apart.
And of course, if you enjoy lots of garlic, because garlic is so healthy for
Of
us
course.
as well,
Of
feel
course.
welcome to use more. In fact, this whole dish, you can customize it to whatever you want. We're using vegetables that we like, but there's so many other vegetables you could use in a stir fry as well.
As you can see, I cut the ends off. That way you can peel the rest of the skin off of it very easy. Or you can put it in a jar, shake it around, and the skin will basically break off once you've cut the ends off.
Right, you've done that on a couple of our videos. Just alternate ways.
Okay, come on.
Some people use a garlic press. They like to press out their garlic.
Same thing as we did with the ginger. Small side of the cheese grater.
And here's another tip for getting some of the wonderful, antioxidant benefits in onions and garlic. As opposed to the cruciferous vegetables, we've learned that these, you can start to cut these up, and these only need to kind of sit for about 10 minutes or so before you cook it, apparently to get the blooming of the antioxidants.
Then I have my monk fruit sugar.
So your sweetener. So
my sweetener.
What we're doing, we're using a 0 sugar, 0 blood sugar spike product instead of a regular refined sugar. So, a lot of people might use maple syrup in this, agave syrup, and we used to do that. But now we have learned about this new product from our favorite neurologist researchers, Dean and Aisha Sharzai. They use this product, this Lakanto monkfruit sweetener, in all their cooking. And so we're starting to use this now for our sweeteners.
Okay, my next one is going to be cornstarch as a thickener.
So you had already put in the sweetener, the monkfruit extract.
Yeah, I just dumped it in while you were saying what it was.
Okay, now you're just going to whisk
now,
it.
Now
Hope
I'm just going to
get
whisk
it on your shirt.
I'm just going to whisk this up. Get all of that mixed up with the cornstarch. Going to put it in I have like a little 8-inch omelet pan, they want to call it. I'm going to put it in there to warm it up so I can place the tempeh and tofu in there, and it'll be covered with most of the moisture, and it'll absorb, the tofu and the tempeh will absorb the sauce. Now I'm going to put it on the stove.
Now the best thing would be to wait for about 10 minutes before we begin to cook that, because he did cut the garlic.
Right. Okay, I'm going to set it at about, I'd say a medium low, just to start it, get it warming up.
So just to say, we're doing this video right now for you, so we're not going to wait we're not waiting the time, but we did want to share that tip with you.
Right.
We're just going to keep going with the video. So.
Right, I'll keep this over here. Okay, the tofu. This is a 10-ounce block of tofu. We get this hodo. It's great. It's got very high protein and everything. I'm only going to use half of the block.
And one reason we're actually using this brand of tofu, we used to use some other brands, but tofu is set with calcium. And the different tofus actually have different amounts of calcium in them. And so I was noticing that, and I actually decided to get the tofu that had the most calcium. And this one actually had a significant amount more than another one we were using. We were using a organic tofu from Trader Joe's. It was called the high protein tofu, but this one actually has more calcium in them.
Right, and
since we're plant-based eaters and we want to get our calcium from our plants, that's in our food. Getting it in tofu is just another way of doing it.
Okay, so all I'm doing is squeezing this in a couple paper towels just to get the excess moisture out. Then I'm just going to cut this in 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch pieces. So you don't want it to fall apart.
And again, you can make this dish, with just tofu or just tempeh or both if you want to do both.
Or not even that if you want.
But we like to have it because it's a nice added protein source.
Okay, my tempeh, we get this from Trader Joe's. I'm going to use half of the bag. Cut that in half. Comes in a little vacuum sealed bag. You can squeeze it, it's already out. And then I'm going to take it and I'm just going to slice about the same thickness as the tofu from one end to the other instead, or you can do it whatever way, lengthwise if you'd like. Okay, that's going to be our protein for this. And let me check this.
Our dedicated protein. Of course, all plants have protein, but some have a little more protein than others. So we like to have our legumes.
Okay, if you want to come over here, I'll show you everybody. I'm just going to place it in the sauce. Just going to place this in the sauce like that. Get it covered.
So basically what you're doing is marinating
Marinating
our
it
tofu
as
and
it's
tempeh,
warming.
so we get flavors in there.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much you have that at a medium-low heat, kind of?
Yes. Yeah, medium-low, yeah. This would be medium, or actually a high-low.
A high-low.
Yeah. Okay, that'll be fine there. Let's go ahead and watch that. Then we can come back over here. And I'll get started cutting the rest of the vegetables and stuff that I got for this. First, we'll start with the garlic again. Since I got that here. Like Denise said, you can put as much garlic as you'd like in here. If you like a lot of garlic, go for it. I love garlic in my potatoes. So we're gonna go ahead and rinse this off. Okay, garlic. Now I might be out of order here, but I'm just gonna show you how to cut all these vegetables. So we're gonna throw it all together once I get it all done.
So more yummy garlic. Giving lots of flavor for our stir fry and great nutrients.
Red onion. Gonna use half of this. This is a medium one. Cut the ends off. Go through the first layer of skin. Peel that back. Should come off pretty easy. You don't want to eat that. It's just, you'd be chewing forever. We're going to use half of this onion.
And you could use a yellow onion if you want, but
sure.
We like to use the red. It's got more color, meaning more antioxidants.
Okay, I'm going to do a chop. Just like that. Okay, there's my onion. My carrot, got an ugly piece right there. Cut the ends
and
off.
We don't peel our carrots. We buy organic carrots. Again, there's nutrients in the peel, so we don't want to lose that. So we just suggest just wash it and...
Okay, it said to slice my onion. The chopping will be fine. You can chop it or slice it. The carrots, I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to just make carrot rings. About 1/4 of an inch thick.
Rings, okay. Round, whatever term you like to use.
There's our carrots. And as far as the onion goes, it said to do slices. So you just do it this way. Just like that to get your slices. We'll just go ahead and throw those extra in there. Next is my bell pepper. We're going to use this little bell pepper here. Going to cut this top off. Then the green part should push right out of the middle. Just like that. Oh, I'm crying here.
The onions, huh?
Okay, then we're just going to do slices. So we have some nice color and shapes in this. Cut the tops of that off. I like to get that little white out of there. I don't know what it is.
That's a beautiful red pepper.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a couple growing in our garden right now. We hope they're going to be good ones.
And then you just reach inside the bell pepper and twist. All of the seed pod comes out. And then I like to cut it like this, in between the white. Gives me a nice cleaner look. Not that I'm going to throw any of this away. There we go. Then we're going to do some more slices.
And how much red pepper were you doing?
I'm gonna do half of this. I'm gonna save the other half. But I'm just saying, this is why I clean it out. It stays fresher that way, in my opinion. So there's our red bell pepper. Our zucchini. We're gonna do the same thing, half of it. Cut the end off. And then we got clove, half rounds, okay. And then I'll cut this in half. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the rounds. 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, somewhere in there. There's our zucchini.
And we're almost getting to the end here.
Our mushrooms. It says 8 ounces of mushrooms, it's 1 package. And I'm just gonna slice these. I've already cleaned them.
You're doing a half of that, right?
A half of it, yes. This is 8 ounces. I'm only gonna use half of this. And like I said, I've already taken these and cleaned them off and everything over the sink. You can even use gnocchis. There's also those little tiny ones. And you can use the oyster mushrooms. You can use shiitake mushrooms for this. Okay, enough of those. There's our mushrooms.
And again, depending on how many leftovers you want, or if you
Right.
want to freeze things, you know.
Originally,
you can
I made this. Originally, when I made this, it made quite a bit. So we've cut it back quite a bit too. So, okay, green onions, cut the ends of them off, and this is going to go on the top of the dish after it's all placed together. And I like to cut them at an angle. It gives the green onions a different look. Gives them like a spiky look. You can see the little spikes there. And, I mean, you can do it either way. I just like to make things look a little different.
And I just want to say our Instant Pot has already gone up to pressure
There we
because
go.
we're showing 8 minutes and we set it for 10, so it's starting to cook.
Okay, stirring the sauce over here. It's not hot yet, so just let that warm a little. Okay, green onions. Okay, and then the spinach is going to be up underneath with a little bit of the farro on top. As right now, well, let's go ahead and take a break. I'll get cleaned up. We'll get back over there and we'll cook the rest of this.
Okay, Georgie.
Okay, everyone, our farro is done cooking. It's been 7 minutes since it was finished. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. This is just something I do because it just keeps my counter a little bit cleaner. It's just a paper towel over the top of the thing. Always use a utensil to open it. Once the steam's all released, pretty much out, then I'll open it up and I'll give it a taste test and give it whether I need to cook it a little bit longer or not. Yeah, there's nothing coming out. It's almost done. If you want to see this top of this little silver button will drop down when all of the pressure is gone, and I will know it's safe to open it at that time. Always make sure that it's down, because if it's not down, you still have pressure. Okay, it's down. You go ahead and open it, and always open it. Don't open it and put your arm up that way. Always open it away from your arm, because you don't want to get burned, because it can burn you. Okay, let's do this up a little bit. Let's see what it looks like.
Okay, see what you
Give
think.
it a taste. We want it firm, but not soft.
And not crunchy, hard.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it 2 more minutes. Same thing, pressure cook, or cancel. I'm gonna cook it for 2 more minutes because it's still a little firm. Okay. You wanna go ahead and stop? We'll go ahead and do that, and we'll come over here and start doing the rest of the food.
Okay.
Okay, you can see my sauce is nice and thick. This is cooked for about 15 minutes, simmering. Go ahead and take everything out here.
So how do they know when it's done?
It's just 10 minutes would have been plenty.
But how do
5
they
minutes
know?
will, all you're doing is just getting a little bit of absorption of the flavors of the ginger, the tamari, and all that on these tofu and tempeh. It will only take you 5 minutes for these to absorb this, as long as it's doing a little small simmer. If it's not hot, it's not going to absorb it. You want to have it a little bit. You can see the steam coming off of it as I'm bringing it up. Oop.
And then the leftover sauce is what will get thrown in the stir fry as well.
Right, the sauce is going to go on the stir fry. The slippery little sucker. Oh. Yeah, it only takes a few minutes for this to absorb. Not long at all. And besides, it's going to be sitting in the sauce when you put it in there anyway. Okay. Now, that's our sauce for our stuff. So I've had this on. Gonna turn it up a little.
Now, did you want to take that sauce off the stove?
It's already shut off. I've got it's fine.
Okay, so it's now cooking.
It's fine. I got it on a medium high. First thing we're going to do is our onions. Should have turned it on earlier.
Yeah, usually we like to put the onions in when the pot's already hot.
Right. I didn't think it would take that long. Anyway, you can see our tempeh and our tofu. Doesn't that look delicious? I can't wait. Let's turn this a little bit. You can see the cornstarch got it nice and thick so that it's not liquidy and watery. The one thing I don't like about Asian sauces is a lot of times they're very watery. Come on, let's get here. Go in here.
All right, well, we can always stop if we need to.
Let's go ahead and stop until this gets hot and we'll come back.
Okay.
Okay, we cooked it an extra 2 minutes for a total of 12 minutes. It's been 5 minutes again for the natural release. Go ahead, shut it off. Push the button. And it shouldn't take long whatsoever. Oh, it's already almost done. There we go. That was quick. Okay, remember, over like that, you always want to be away from the steam. Especially people that have very tender skin.
Let me show what it looks like actually in there. So
Probably gonna
there's
steam
still a
up.
lot of water that you're going to strain.
Yeah, I'm going to strain that.
Okay. And then
Okay.
this is what it looks like now. Again, a little bit more cooked.
You can see it's fluffier, a little softer. So let me. 12 minutes.
we
5-minute natural release.
We find with our grains that we have to often, we just have to, and beans, we have to taste things and determine whether it needs a little bit more or not. Sometimes, depending on how old something is, it could take more time to cook. Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the sink and I'm going to strain the rest of the water out of it, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So you want to go ahead and stop, and then I'll go ahead and drain it and come back with it. Okay, there's our farro. Nice and steamy and tender. So I'm going to put this over here. Okay, my red onions, you can see they're already starting to get a little bit caramelized here. I don't want to caramelize them. I just want them to be a little bit tender. Yeah, see, they're already tender. You can see as you push on them, they're tender. So my bell peppers are good.
You mean your onions are good?
I mean my onions. Garlic is next.
And remember, we haven't put any oil in that pan.
No oil yet.
Well,
we're not going to use oil.
Right.
However, see the garlic is already stuck. So I'm going to put a little bit of vegetable broth in here to unglaze it. Couple tablespoons. Okay, that took it right off of the pan. The one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to burn your garlic. Okay, next is going to be my bell peppers, my mushrooms, my carrots, Okay, this is gonna take probably, I can't tell you how many minutes, but right now it's,
Well, we'll
watch
just
the
kind
time.
of give an idea when you're done.
Okay, I just
And
need a little bit of vegetable broth, another tablespoon.
you also could use water if you want.
Right. This is a low sodium vegetable broth we get from Trader Joe's. It's our favorite. Okay, let's go ahead and take a stop here and we'll come back when these are all nice and cooked down.
Okay.
Okay. Let's add a little bit more vegetable broth. Oop.
So this has been cooking for about 2 to 3 minutes.
A little bit.
And what kind of heat do you have it on, Georgie?
I got a medium high.
Medium high? Okay. So those veggies cook pretty fast.
Yeah. Okay, now we'll put the rest of our veggies together.
These are our cruciferous that we're leaving to sit out to bloom that sulforaphane.
Cabbage. I need one more of these. Okay, now what I'm going to do is stir this over. Oh, what happened there? My zucchini didn't fall apart. One thing I want to tell everybody, if you ever cook zucchini and you like to put it in like a batter or something, if you cut it and you salt both sides and let it sit, it's kind of like an eggplant. The salt will take
Some of the liquid out.
the liquid out of it, so you can get a crispier zucchini when you deep fry it.
Well, we're not deep frying anything.
No, I'm just saying it, or baked even. Excuse me. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my sauce in. You can see it's pretty thick. See how thick it is? So, being that it's that thick, I might have to add some vegetable broth to this to thin it out. I'm going to go ahead and put that all in there. Then we're going to mix this up again. My goodness. Okay. I think it needs probably, I would say, 1/4 cup. Now, once it cooks, you're going to have more liquid because a lot of these vegetables contain liquid. So don't put too much. You don't want it sitting in a pool of soup.
All right, that's coming together. I can smell food being done pretty soon.
This is going to be dinner tonight. Okay, now I'm going to keep it about a little bit above medium. I'm going to go ahead and cover it. I would say, I don't know, I can't say how many more minutes, but we'll go ahead and time it. So we'll go ahead and stop at this point and come back when those are all ready. Okay, my vegetables have cooked for 5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead, and I've stirred them a couple times. You can see how everything is starting
Look
to
at all those
wilt
pretty
down.
colors.
So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add our tempeh and our tofu to this so that it re-warms itself, because we're gonna cook it a couple more minutes. Put the tofu over here. Get all that sauce off of there. Gonna cover this for 2 minutes, then we're gonna take it off the stove. We're gonna come over here and I'll show you how to plate it all. Okay, 2 minutes. Well, there it is. Tempeh tofu vegetable stir fry. I'll show you and the farro and the green onions. I'm gonna go ahead and put some green spinach here on the bottom, just to get your greens in. Let's say about a cup. Then I'm gonna take my farro and I'm gonna put it in this little container here. I'll show you what I'm gonna do here. Push down on it. round, square, triangular, whatever way you want to do it. Check it out.
Look how nice that looks.
Okay. Then, I'm going to go ahead and turn this way.
Now, of course, you could add spinach to the pan,
Right.
but Georgie, he also likes presentation, so that's one reason he decided to put the spinach in the plate. It's kind of a bed of spinach. It's always wonderful to eat our greens. Wouldn't you like to get this if you were going out to eat somewhere and get this a beautiful stir-fry plate like this? Oh my goodness. Does that look wonderful? Oh.
Let's put one more of these here.
And again, remember, we did both tofu and tempeh just to show everybody, you know, how you could make it. But, you know, you don't need to do both. Oh my gosh, Georgie, that looks just lovely. Wow. Are you going to taste it?
Of course I am. We got to get a fork, though.
It might still be a little hot.
Get a carrot, some tofu. Here we go.
Everybody sees,
The ginger with the tamari, it brings out so much flavor in the tofu. We'll do the tempeh. And the sauce was so thick that it's stuck onto the tofu, as you can see. And the tempeh, there's still sauce on those. If you need a little bit more sauce on it, just add a little bit of soy sauce or something like that, or tamari. You're gonna love it, it's great. Delicious. Okay, that's my dish, how's that?
Well, I hope you enjoyed watching Georgie make our stir fry. We can't wait to go eat that, so we're gonna get off of this video in a moment, but just want to remind everybody, you'll find the recipe always in the description box on the video, and we also put it at the end of the video. Please tell your friends about the Happy Vegan Couple. Subscribe to us if you haven't done that yet, and we'll see you another time. Until then, I'm Denise.
And I'm Georgie.
And we're the Happy Vegan Couple. Go plant-based, everybody. Bye-bye.